After 2 years of hunting down hints, it finally seems that we will be seeing Wumpa League, or whatever it's going to be called, at the Game Awards in 2022. By the time the game is allegedly announced, it would have been over 2 years from the release of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. From rumors of cancellation to teases of its rebirth, but we have been teased for so long that it burned a lot of people out. But I submit to you that all of these hints and teases were actually our own fault. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Wumpa League video. So recently I got a pizza themed delivery box from Activision that contained teases to say that Crash Bandicoot 4 was coming to Steam. However, a small cryptic promo suggested that there was much more on the way. What we have generally theorized was that a Crash Bandicoot related title would be announced at the Game Awards this year. Now, this has not been our first hint. In fact, painfully, we've had numerous, tiny, longly held out hints that stretched out over 2 years. Many have been saying in my comment sections, why would they tease the game for so long? Why would they keep us on the hook for 2 years? The game better be amazing, and it's a valid statement and question. Why would Toys for Bob lead us on for so long? But I think I know the answer, and it might shock you a little bit. We forced Toys for Bob to show their hand. Many might be confused on the statement, but let me explain. The leak started all the way back in March 2020. A leaker by the name of The Gaming Revolution stated that there was a Crash Bandicoot PvP game in development. Now remember, this was even before we had an announcement that Crash Bandicoot 4 was even happening. Over a matter of months, more and more tiny teases would come out. By the time Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time was officially released, we were coming to the end of 2020, and there were officially 2 teases about Wumpa League from official Activision-based social media or content. However, a leak came out in about January 2021 that confirmed that there was a game that was called Wumpa League. It was essentially a PvP Battle Royale title that you had to collect Wumpas and score them in your team's bank. However, the source was adamant that the title was cancelled in November 2020 due to an apparent poor performance of Crash 4. Initially, many did not think that it made sense, including myself, as the game did well critically and was released during a pandemic. However, as time went on, news of Toys for Bob supporting Call of Duty started to come out, along with contract employees that worked on both Spyro Reignited Trilogy and Crash 4 were not getting their contracts renewed, along with big names like the art director Josh Nadelberg leaving for another studio. Over time, as each batch of bad news came out, it would cause portions of the community to feel that this resurgence of Crash Bandicoot was already over. As each day passed, more and more people thought that maybe the game was cancelled. But there still was miscellaneous hints that were coming out, like the next-gen ports of the game being tweaked under the hood, but still containing the Wumpa League tease at Rude Awakening, even though the next-gen ports were worked on after the alleged time that the game was cancelled. Artists still teasing aspects of the game, Wumpa League being scratched out on an activities list on a piece of art that the official Crash channel actually posted, and much more. All these tiny things kept the hope alive for me as I continued to believe that this game was still a thing. However, in July 2021, 7 months from the initial alleged leak that the game was cancelled, Paul Yan did a GDC talk to explain their design process of Crash Bandicoot 4. But during the talk, there was a slide that was slipped in that was completely random. He doesn't talk about it at all and skips over it like it was nothing. But we caught it right away. You can see that this was concept art that was clearly cropped and clearly for Wumpa League. Explosive hype came back to the Crash fanbase as we thought that Paul Yan was teasing that a new game is on the way. Then, on Crash's 25th anniversary, they sent out a Wumpa Pinata with a card that had some interesting wording to it, dropping words like friends out of his league, along with a new video on Twitter that featured yet another tease, an update to the Wumpa League logo that we've seen in the past. On Unfortunately, there was a PlayStation showcase right on Crash's 25th anniversary, and we assumed it would have been shown off there. We later found out that, well, it was a case of terrible timing, and Wumpa League was not in the showcase. This left fans, again, confused, angry, and stressed. Then, over the course of a whole year, tiny Wumpa League teases would be slipped into everything, from social media posts, random packages, and more. So many people got tired of seeing the teasing that people no longer knew how to feel about it. So now that we actually have a hint that actually gives an alleged reveal date, why did they tow us along for so long? Well, it's actually kind of our own fault. Recently, I had an interview with Lou Studdert where we asked him harsh questions about Crash 4 leading up to its release and reception. Crash 4 sadly had some early leaks, and I asked Lou about his feelings about content that he works on getting leaked a bit too early. But while the question was directed at Crash 4's leaks directly, he said something that I think also applies very heavily and very liberally to Wumpa League. Take a listen.
Leaks suck.
Yep.
It's great that there is a level of excitement and we see the level of hunger, we see the level of enthusiasm. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You get the confirmation that what you're doing is going to be looked forward to, it's going to be valued, you'll be excited. But at the same time, I think a lot of people don't necessarily know how games are made. And so the conversation that we have with people about the games as we're making them isn't just, I think, the marketing side of it, of getting people excited, but it's also making sure that people understand what it is that we're doing and don't get any different misconceived notions and set themselves up for either disappointment or expecting one thing and getting another. Because I think making games is a whirling dervish of chaos that somehow kind of forms toward the end, and then you start talking about it because you can actually speak with some authority about what it is that you're making.
Really think about what he is saying here. Really understand the point that he's trying to get across. Showing the game off is more than just marketing, but it's showing portions of the game that they can speak with authority on because that's what's solidified. As he said, development is a whirling dervish of chaos that settles close to the end. During that chaos, you're making cuts, adding, changing, pivoting, adjusting, and experimenting with every single element of the game. Nothing is solid, nothing is set. As consumers, as gamers, we don't see that experimentation, and that's the key thing. We're not supposed to. But when Wumpa League leaked all the way back in January 2021, what was described was a game that was in the middle of that creative chaos. On top of that, a negative view was given when the whole picture couldn't be seen yet. In fact, the whole picture couldn't even be seen by any of the developers themselves because they were still trying to figure the game out too. But due to the leak, Toys for Bob knew that we saw behind the curtain. They knew that we saw something way too early and out of context, and they knew it did not look good. But the problem was, the news was taken as a fact by a large portion of the community, and that is why all of these teases were basically our own fault. That leak, along with all the negative press that came forward at the same time, created a perfect storm that forced their hand to show, well, something, but not through official trailers or reveals. So, Toys for Bob began to drop hints 6 months after the initial set of leaks and bad-sounding news, to try and keep fans' hopes alive that a game was still coming, to try and keep positivity in the community, to let them know in some small, tiny way that something was coming. And that something might finally be coming on December 8th, 2022, and I will be covering every aspect of that game, as I have been doing since the beginning of this rough 2-year ride. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video and our live stream. Bye-bye!